Anyone? Anyone?
We chose the Victory Bell.
Why did you choose that?
Originally, one of my co-workers that work at the ASC told me about the Victory Bell, but it was somehow connected to African Americans, and then I was curious to find out what the original story was and how it got here and what that link was.
Okay, so we came up with the Victory Bell.
The Victory Bell?
Yeah, you know the bell over by the Convocation Center? Okay, so what happened was back 70 years ago, this organization called the APO decided that we needed a bell on campus.
We chose the bell because the controversy was the bell was given to the university and it was funded by an ugly man competition.
So one of my group members, Carol, brought us up to the Regional Archive Center and found all this awesome information. So we had to go back multiple times. We found some awesome interviews. It seemed like each time I went back there was something really cool, something different.
Well, we selected the Victory Bell for our project. My portion of the project was to go to the organization who gave the bell to us. So I talked a little bit about their history, what they're up to, how they recruit, if they're ethical, and because there was some controversy about the band, so I wanted to get some first-hand knowledge from the organization that gave the bell to us. I had two different trips. I was so grateful that one of our members were able to set up a private tour because the experience was completely different from when I went simply as a student. There was so much more restriction. I could only go in with a pencil and a paper that was given to me, and if I happened to have my laptop, I could take it with me, but I couldn't have my phone because I couldn't take pictures of things, whereas during our tour, we're allowed to take pictures of places and really get a detailed tour of the archive itself and see where different things are stored. We were able to see old newspapers. We were able to touch things that we couldn't touch if we just went through the door as students. So it's all about who you know and how you can get in.
That term social capital mean anything?
Exactly. So I think doing this project, that's one thing I realized. We were able to cash in our social capital through our teammate Carol, and I was able to cash in a social capital through my grandfather by being able to have access to someone that I would have had to chase. But he called me as opposed to me chasing him. So originally our entire group took a tour of the Archive Center. We were fortunate enough to go downstairs and see all the ins and outs of it and where they store various things. And then we went back and looked through yearbooks and old school newspapers. We also searched the internet to find out as much as we could, and that's how we discovered that there are several different articles floating around with different dates. Also, I was fortunate enough to have a connection through my grandfather where I was able to speak with Mayor Smith, the current mayor of DeKalb, and he came into Illinois in the fall of '61.
Okay, so back in 1957, APO had this thing called the Ugly Man competition.
Well, you're as pretty as any of them. Just need a nose job.
What? How can you say something like that?
Look away, I'm hideous.
As it turns out from my interviews, it wasn't as controversial as we had thought. And it was really uncommon for an organization to give a gift to a university because a lot of classes, graduating classes, for example, class of 2018, would all come together, pull their funds together, and give a gift to the university. And an organization had never done that before. So it was just kind of history making. So the Victory Bell was brought to campus by one of, I believe it was the Alpha Phi Omega? fraternity. They brought it to campus as a gift to the university. During that time, graduating classes were the ones that originally give the university a gift, so they were the first organization to actually give a gift and that wasn't connected necessarily to a class.
And when did this happen?
There are several different dates floating around. There's some that says it happened in '58, and that it was first rung after a Dad's Day game in '61 in October. So it's a lot of different dates floating around about the bell.
Sometime before you were born?
It definitely was before I was born. Yes, that.
When was the bell brought to campus?
I have no idea.
Where was it placed when it first came to campus?
The bell was placed in the Husky turnaround right outside of DuSable, and it was at the center. The funds from the Ugly Man contest were used to purchase the bell, move the bell, and build the foundation for the bell.
So in 1957, Alpha Phi Omega Service Fraternity initiated a drive to obtain a victory bell for NIU to give Northern a tradition rich in purpose and promote good sportsmanship and fair play. So with proceeds from its Ugliest Man on Campus contest in 1958, the APO Victory Bell Committee purchased a bell from a local rural school. 2 Victory Bell Committee members are seen here looking over the bell after it arrived at the physical plant for some rehabilitation before being set out for public view. Set in a foundation of brick, stone, and timbers erected on Malice Island across from Gable Hall, the bell has been rung after athletic victories for the past 40 years. Dedicated October 8, 1960, the Victory Bell first rang to celebrate a football win over Eastern Illinois.
So Alpha Phi Omega, when they speak about their history to their new recruits or their perspectives, they have an alumni historian of their organization that is called a neophyte, and they explain a little bit about the history, and they do talk about the bell. So they were nationally found in 1925, and the NIU branch was founded in 1928. They are a fraternity. They are now a co-ed fraternity, but they do refer to all of their members as brothers. So their tiers, when it comes to their values, are fellowship, leadership, and service. And one thing they like to do every year is Huskies Walking Huskies. So they work with a lot of the animal shelters, and if they do have Huskies or any other type of dog, they provide their services washing them, walking them, and just making them feel nice for a family that might adopt them. The bell was in place not only for sportsmanship, but for all the students. So anyone could walk up to the bell if they did well on a test, if they passed all of their finals, if they finished a paper, if they just got engaged, would just go up and ring the bell. And everybody would get excited when they heard the bell because they know something good happened for a student on campus. The origins, in some people's opinion, might have been controversial due to the Ugly Man competition. But at that time, it was just a fun competition and it made a lot of money. And with that money, they didn't want to be selfish with it, so they wanted to give something back to the university and just like let the university know that they cared. When I spoke to APO, they were interested in possibly doing another Ugly Man contest, but some of their concerns were related to the gender spectrum. Because they are co-ed, they wanted it to be a little more open to everyone, and they're always willing to like help Huskies. When I spoke to the president, his name was Douglas, like sometimes he would give directions or give people rides if they need it. If they saw a Husky in need, just be willing to help and be that comrade for anybody in need.
Where was it when it first came here?
They first constructed it around somewhere where the Home Student Center is, and then it was removed. You
could see it back then from where the turnaround, the former turnaround at the home center was, and then they moved it somewhere around here, closer to where Poll Hall is, and now it's currently at the Convocation Center.
So it's been everywhere.
They've moved it for several reasons. I'm not certain why it was moved to the Convocation Center. I know before they put it in front of the Convocation Center, it was in a basement somewhere to store it and keep it properly held. I know the service fraternity wasn't pleased with the original move, but they've come to deal with it.
Yeah, so it was in the Convocation Center in the basement for a while. But they moved it back up in the early 2000s. They moved it back outside. Yeah, so people were happy to see it come back. But the APO, who originally donated it, they were too happy because they wanted it closer to campus.
It went into storage for a bit, and then the powers that be, as far as the fraternity was concerned, they were really insulted and offended because they felt like the bell really was a major part of the school history, and to just move it was a disservice to students' life. So they kind of fussed and fought, and they got it to be placed somewhere where people can actually use it now.
Well, the bell was originally moved to make way for the DuSable turnaround, which is where our buses come and pick up and drop off students for Revis Hall, DuSable, and Gable. I actually work for the Husky bus, and as the student center is down, this is the first stop where students get picked up and dropped off.
So would it be nice if the bell was back here where it would be more accessible for students before graduation?
It actually would not. It would be a hazard because more people would be coming, trying to ring the bell, and it would be a lot more difficult for cars to drive back and forth. So where it is kind of the safest place for it.
Although the bell came in the spirit of good sportsmanship, I don't think we associated it with the athletes, or it's just taken on a life of its own where everyone can use it to celebrate different victories. And one of the things I love about my grandfather is like he feels like if he can't use his own influence to open doors for others, what's the point of it? He's someone who really have seen the different changes that are taking place on this university, and he's really a social activist, and he believes in using whatever resources he has to open doors and expand education for others. So I'm fortunate to be in that lineage. I think what I got from him just talking with him is that he really values this university, and one of the things he said to me that he feels is sad is that students don't feel a sense of ownership with Northern that his class and classes before him and so forth felt. And now it's just somewhere we come to get a degree, and that he doesn't feel like students are as invested into the university. And I asked him why he felt that way, and he said that he thinks that the university isn't as embracing as it used to be. It wasn't a place where it was a home and a community. Now it's a educational center, so to speak. I agree with him to some degree. I believe I was telling someone that Northern would have to do a lot to get me to just give money. I don't have that warm and fuzzy feeling that my grandfather has where he writes these checks and joins these boards and stuff. And I'm hoping that maybe through pursuing my graduate degree, I can find some kind of connection to the university. I think right now I'm more connected to the different changes that are taking place on campus, but I don't feel like I am emotionally invested. I think it gave me a sense of tradition that I never knew Northern had. Like, I never thought of any traditions that take place here because simply I come, I go to class, I do what I need to do, and I leave. My life isn't really on campus. And so by researching this, I was able to get a sense of the tradition of Northern. Like, you hear things in passing, but you don't really like invest in it. It's just a conversation. And so to look around and see what student life was like before and what the university was like before and how much students had an input in things and how they could really get in. I think now the input we have is through social justice. And that's how I feel like currently my generation is making a statement on campus, is through social justice, rather than just really investing in, oh, this is my campus, I wanted to look this way, or why do we have this policy and stuff, is more what we're concerned about now.
So would you say social justice is the new victory bell?
I think so. I think so, because I mean, even now when you look, after graduation is when most people encounter that bell, because most people don't know it's on campus, but when you exit, graduation is one of the first things you see. So you'll find that a lot of people have pictures by the bell, but I wonder how many of them know what it means and realize that they actually are doing what the bell is intended for by celebrating a major milestone in their life.
Do you plan to ring the bell when you graduate?
I think I will this time. Last time I didn't. To be honest, last time I came to graduation for my family, not for myself. I really did. I felt like, okay, I got my degree, big deal. But I think this time around, I think I really will. I really can see myself doing that.
All right. Thanks, ma'am.
Oh, no problem.
When was it dedicated?
Wait a minute, what's the date today?
October 8th.
October 8th, 1960. How weird is that?
Ooh, weird.
I'm so scared.